What's going on, everybody? Dylan here with Espresso Outlet, and today, as you saw, this video is about the SK40 and the niche comparison. Now, both grinders are great. One grinder is priced at a lower point than the other. We're going to get into the pros and the cons to both, their workflow, their taste, overall result in the cup, because obviously workflow and the taste in the final cup is the most important factor in this testing. So today I want to say thank you to Brent at Good Brothers for allowing us to review this coffee. This coffee is a Costa Rica tasting notes of chocolate brownie, caramel, and pink lemonade. The build quality on the Turin SK40 is great. Everything on the grinder feels like it was engineered very well. Everything's super smooth, starting with the adjustment knob. As you saw, it's that little corkscrew to where it's super easy and smooth to move. Downside to that is it does take a little bit to get to a grind size if you have to jump quite a bit, but little tiny micro adjustments, super smooth, super easy, and you guys are going to really enjoy and love that. Grinding feels great. The workflow is amazing. I love the base of the unit. I love how small of a footprint it is because it will fit on pretty much everyone's bar at home, in the office, or even if you wanted to pack this thing up and go on the go. Very nice for travel, very small size. Now, one thing that I don't care too much about on the SK40 is the dosing cup. When it goes into the portafilter, it does leave a ring around the edge of the portafilter basket, and that I'm not too fond of, because if you don't WDT and you just kind of like tap the basket and tamp, then you're gonna have that big outer ring that is left not sure how it's going to be, which is going to lead to some channeling. And that's going to lead to a bitter, more sour taste in the cup, depending on the grind setting itself in that final cup. Now, let's get on to the base of the unit. The base of the unit is really cool. It's got a unique metal magnetic base, which is going to allow that cup to pretty much stay put when grinding. So you don't have to really worry about, or at all, about that cup moving when the grinder is actually running. RDT, Ross Droplet Technique. This is a method used, or a technique used, to prevent static of the coffee grind, so you don't get that chaff or that coffee buildup all around your workspace and on the grinder itself. I have not had trouble at all with the SK40, at least in my experience. It's been very nice. It's been giving me consistency. I can pull 5-6 shots in a row on the same grind setting as long as it's dialed in, and I get the same result at the end of that cup each and every time. As you saw in the video, it was super easy to adjust. I've gotten really good at adjusting the grind size, which could be another video. I went from 6 to about 6.5, and as you saw, I pretty much got perfect timing at that 1-to-2 ratio, 18 to 36 grams, in about that 27 to 30 second range. So it's super easy to dial in, especially when you're using medium to dark roast on espresso. So let's go on to the build and the quality of the niche. So the build and the quality of the niche is very good. I think the outer part is very well constructed. It's made of very good materials, just like the SK40. Workflow wise, it's about the same as the SK40. The only thing that I give the niche over the SK40 is dumping in those beans when putting it into the grinder. As you saw on the SK40, some beans tend to fall out because the little hole to put it in is kind of small, so beans will kind of pop out, or they might not all go in there, so you got to kind of push them in there to funnel them in to grind, as opposed to the niche. It's got a very big opening to where you can just dump it in, and most of the time you're not going to have that trouble. Going into that is a downfall of the niche, which is not on the SK40, and that is while grinding. So when you grind on both grinders, once you feed those beans into the SK40, you close the lid. You don't have to worry about any kind of popcorning out because it is closed. All the beans are going to be grinded that are in the grinder. Now with the niche, I've had some issues when I shut the lid. there is a little tiny window gap that the beans could actually popcorn out, and there is an anti-popcorn inside the niche, but sometimes they do pop out and they will go on the outside. So you're gonna have to open that up, take it, and put it back in. And there's a little tiny gap. I'll show you that now. Okay, so that is the part that I'm talking about on the niche. That is a little bit frustrating at times. It doesn't happen often, but when it does happen, it's just like you got to open it back up. It just makes the workflow a little bit slower and just a little bit less enjoyable. Now, same as the SK40, the dosing cup on the niche is very frustrating. It sits in the basket, but it also forms that huge ring around the portafilter basket, which is going to lead to channeling. And it doesn't make for a great workflow because you're going to have to WDT and you're going to have to follow along with that every single time, or you're going to get that big ring and it's just not going to give you the best result when brewing that shot of espresso, in my opinion. Looking at the platform, as the SK40, we saw it has the solid base platform with the magnetic, which is super nice. Niche does a great job of providing a little kind of stand that's molded for that cup to where you don't have to worry about the cup going anywhere when grinding. The niche also is very good when it comes to static. There's really not that much static on the niche either. I would say the niche does a little bit more static when grinding than the SK40 does, but both are very, very good at keeping static to a very minimum, which kudos to both companies for providing that, as that is a big thing when we look at workflow, because you don't want to mess and have to clean it up after every single time you brew a shot of espresso or pour over. The workflow on both are super nice. I really don't have any complaints on either one. I think both companies did a great job when looking at the workflow, because that is a big thing for us coffee enthusiasts, especially for espresso workflow. The price point is where it kind of gets me. The SK40 is around $200, and I believe the niche is around that $500 to $600 mark. If I'm mistaken, I'll put the correction right here, so you can kind of see that comparison of the niche and the SK40. Now, if they do, if there is that $400 gap that I'm thinking, $400 gap, is there a significant amount of difference from the SK40 to the niche that would make me want to spend that extra additional $300 to $400? In my opinion, in the final cup, no. Both make great cups. I do think that the niche tends to highlight more of those acidity notes. So if you're that person that loves that, I guess, astringent acidity, it is going to deliver more on that. I do think that it would do a little bit better in pour over because of that. It does do a good job of giving you that body. If that's something that you love with your espresso, is that body. The tasting notes are a little bit muddled together, so it's not as clear. It's kind of more of like you're trying to figure out what exactly it is that you're actually tasting in that final cup, as opposed to the SK40, where you're going to get a little bit better clarity in the cup, maybe suffering just a little bit of body in my experience, but it does bring out more of those clear, chocolatey, nutty kind of notes, and it does bring out those fruity notes as well. I would say it highlights the fruity notes just a little bit more. They are both conical grinders that are very good at pointing out those higher fruity acidity tasting notes. When we compare the both of them, I have had both of these grinders for quite a bit of time, and I have enjoyed my time with both. Both workflows, like I said, are good. The biggest thing for me is price and the internal. So the internal motor on the SK40, I'll link a video here so you can see the video tearing that whole grinder apart, and you can see the motor and just how well the build quality truly is on the SK40. Now, I have not torn apart the niche internals, but I have seen videos, and the motor seems quite small. Now, take that as you will. I'm not saying that jeopardizes the integrity of the durability of the grinder down the road, because like I said, I've had this thing for a long time and it's been good. But just internals, looking at the two, I definitely give the internal machining to the SK40. Ultimately, there are so many grinders out there and it's so hard to just pick one. So I guess I would just say, out of both grinders, I do not believe there is a $300 to $400 difference in the two. But if the one thing that comes down to it is looks, that's based on preference. And if the looks of the niche are worth $300 to $400 more, or you're just that person that just loves a thick body with kind of muddled flavors, then that's on you as well. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. My name is Dylan with Espresso Outlet, and this is the SK40 comparison with the niche. And I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe and comment on the video. If you have either one of these, which do you prefer and why? Thank you so much for watching. See ya.